Welcome back. Gilbert Kimeng, our next guest, was diagnosed with cancer of the bone marrow, the liver, and the kidney. Hi, Gilbert. Gilbert, welcome to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. Yeah. Tell us about when you first discovered that you had cancer.
Yeah, I was a young student at the time in Germany, and I was 19, the prime of life, going after my dreams, loved school, wanted to get all the degrees, very ambitious, and then I was preparing for my winter semester exams when I noticed that instead of spending hours preparing for the exams, I couldn't read for more than an hour. I would just...
Did you get tired?
Really tired.
Okay.
Really exhausted. And so I went to the doctor, personal doctor, and he was like, well, it's winter, you catch a flu easily because the underground subway, the buses, all the transport systems are very overcrowded. Yeah. And so he was treating me for flu. But I just noticed in the next 2-3 weeks, my condition got so bad that I couldn't walk.
Wow. Okay.
I remember having to go back to see him. And he was a few bus stops away from my students' hostel. It took me forever to get there. And when he saw me and my condition, you could tell from the expression on his face that this was serious. So he now referred me to, they call it the university hospital, like a teaching hospital, like a Luth, for example, in Germany, where they train medical students. So I was referred there, and as soon as I got there, I was treated as very urgent. And it took about 3 weeks of intense medical checkup
to find out what was. Wow. Okay.
And it was 3 weeks. I lost 10 kilograms.
In 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really bad. And I constantly had fever of 40 degrees and more. So I'll go to bed at night and I get up in the morning and my bed is complete. So if somebody came and poured water.
I have to ask you, so you said you were 19 at this point?
Yeah.
So where were your parents?
My mom is from Akwa Ibom, but she grew up in Cameroon.
Okay.
And my dad is from Cameroon. So they were both in Cameroon at the time.
Okay.
And so I was without family. I was a scholarship student. And so I was alone. All I had with me was a few good friends. But how long do you put up with that?
What was going through your mind as you were seeing your condition further deteriorate? What were you thinking? How worried were you about what the final diagnosis would be?
Truth is, I checked in there quite sick, but I think still kind of confident that it's gonna, I'm gonna come out of this. But I remember when they finally diagnosed it, and what happened is they got to a point where they would come for their regular morning checkups, the doctors, and there were 3 of us in our ward, in our room, and they would start with the first, the second, and I was just close to the door. And when the doctors get to me, they just stand and stare at me because they've tried everything possible. This is Germany with all the medical facilities. They've done all kinds of tests. They'll just stare at me. They don't know what to do, and they walk out. And so what happened is they now got advice from another specialist, from another hospital, and he was like, "Have you guys done a bone marrow puncture?" I later on went through a bone marrow transplant. That's what I was about to say. But so they now did a bone marrow puncture. An injection through your bones, pull out the bone marrow, extremely painful. You don't want to go through that. And so they now tested it and found that there was cancer in the bone marrow. And so they're now looking for cancer everywhere else in the body and found it in the kidney and the liver. But to answer your question, when it became obvious that it's cancer, I thought, wow, so my dreams are not going to come true.
Wow.
I can become the great engineer I want to become. I was studying in a technical university in Berlin. I wouldn't become that. And so I just started thinking, am I going to get married one day? Am I going to, you know, dream after dream was just dropping off. You know, as you know, the situation unfolded, and I was a lot of despair. And I spent about 3 months in denial.
Wow.
Just denying that this is true.
I have to ask you, so when they found out you had cancer of the bone marrow and then they checked everywhere else, did they tell you at any point if it was a case that it had spread, or did the cancers formulate separately? Because
that's a very good question. Well, truth is, in hospital, I got to learn more about the medical things. But at this stage, it was called a Burkitt's lymphoma.
Right.
Referring a lot more to the one of the bone marrow.
Okay.
So it looked like the kidney and the liver were kind of independent, but there was a likelihood of it spreading a lot more.
Okay.
So what they immediately did from start was, for example, inject me on my spinal cord to stop it from entering the nervous system, which would have been really bad. So it was really growing and very fast. But to answer your question, I'm not very sure if it was treated as one cancer. It was like, you know, 3 different parts, but all growing really fast. Cancer taught me, number 1, to appreciate the simple things of life.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Then think Zenith, one of the biggest in Nigeria, with assets over $16 billion, listed among the 20 most influential brands in the world, and winner of Best Bank in Corporate Governance, the most customer-focused bank in Nigeria. A success built on 3 foundations, dedicated to people, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Yes! And this is, what is this?
This is EL Record.
In other words, we bring you the training things, the things where they train amongst us, and we rate them from number 8 to number 1.
Yes! I gradually like me.
So my journey won't be in vain. Somebody where?
Whatever, son.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's up.
She knows. Yeah.
GE's vision for Africa has always been the provision of a high-quality life that is affordable and easily accessible, of growth, stability, and prosperity, rapid industrialization and development of one of the wealthiest continents in the world, of power, superior technology, healthcare, and transportation. GE is committed to an Africa that works better. GE, imagination at work.
A lifestyle and reality TV show that captures celebrities, public figures, and interesting personalities in their real element. Our goal is to give Africa a chance to see their favorite celebrities outside their comfort zone.
It's your mouth that gives you your best smile, that lets you bite into the best food, hot or cold. That's why your mouth deserves Oral-B Pro Health All-Round Protection. It protects you against bacteria, plaque, and gum problems that could lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your teeth and gives you all-round protection. That's why your mouth deserves Oral-B Pro Health All-Round Protection. And now available in family size.
Dedicated to people, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Welcome back, and we're still here with Gilbert as he's sharing his story.
So after, they discovered now that you have cancer, what what report did they give you? Did they tell you whether or not you had the likelihood of living, or was it a case where your case was kind of lost?
Well, what they just first did is right away, when it was diagnosed, the same day they started chemotherapy.
Okay.
And so there were some expectations. The doctors expected that I would go through 6 therapies. Each of those therapies is a 5-day, 24/7 treatment. So 24/7 for 5 continuous days, you're receiving like 6 bottles of drips, all running, and they just keep replacing them for 5 days. That's one of the therapies. And you recover for a week or 2, your blood values are back, and then you get into the second one. And so the expectation was that after 3 therapies, they were expecting what they call full remission.
Okay.
And so the last 3 therapies will be to consolidate whatever they would have achieved during the first 3. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I mean, the remission didn't happen after 3 therapies. It took a longer time.
Okay, so after the 3 therapies and then the remission didn't happen, what did the doctors decide to do then?
So what they decided to do was that I needed to continue the treatment further.
Okay.
It wouldn't stop at the 6 therapies.
There'd be more.
What they decided was that for me to have any chance of surviving, they're going to have to do a bone marrow transplant.
Wow.
Because there is a danger that some cancer cells are hiding somewhere and then they grow back. So they want to eliminate whatever possibility of cancer cells hidden anywhere. And so they're going to literally destroy my bone marrow. And the original plan was for me to get the bone marrow from one of my siblings.
Okay.
And so that was the original plan. And I didn't stand that. I didn't want my siblings to taste any of the pain I went through.
Okay.
And so when they noticed I wasn't very receptive to that method of treatment, they now told me about a new method. Now they were still trying out.
Okay.
And so I was going to be like a guinea pig. And interestingly, I actually embraced that. It was this when they were beginning to come up with what they call today the stem cell technology.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So this treatment was 92. That's 22 years ago. And I was diagnosed around this time, 22 years ago. And so that's when stem cell technology was still being developed.
Yeah.
And they were going to try that on me.
And did they tell you what the chances of success for that treatment would be for your bone marrow?
Truth is, I was treated like somebody who was very critical. I remember the day when to administer chemotherapy, they had to constantly give me what they call a catheter.
Okay, catheter.
And so, but all my veins got bad because they'll use a vein and then it will get blocked or whatever. They'll try another vein and it got to a point they couldn't find any of the veins. So there was a day I was really agonizing because of the changing of the catheter. And I told the doctor, I can't stand this, this is too much, And the doctor looked at me straight in the eyes and told me, Mr. Kimming, in German, Herr Kimming, you got a choice to make. Either go through this pain or choose the other alternative, which is death.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the truth, from that day on, that was pretty early on in the treatment. I'd been there for like a month or 2.
Yeah.
And for the rest of I was in hospital for almost a year. And I went through a lot more, 5 surgeries to put in, to implant this instrument. I went through 16 times, I was injected on my spinal cord, 12 times my bone marrow. I never complained once
After that,
anymore. Because I made the choice. I understood it's about death. And I got a choice to make.
You said you were in hospital for almost a year.
Yeah, I was hospitalized in February and came out in December.
So you stayed there the whole time. Did you? Wow, that's.
There was just one day I was privileged to spend the night in my own room because it got to a stage where when I noticed that the initial plan didn't work out, and they're not talking about a transplant, and I felt like I was going to die. And because of the fear, I couldn't walk anymore, just out of fear.
Yeah.
And so